Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Today is part 2 of a clean eats swap video. A couple months ago I made a video just telling you how if you wanted to clean up your diet a little bit and opt for some better choices, I gave some examples. I gave examples of mayonnaise and whipped topping. What else? I don't remember. Oh, potato chips, things like that. And everybody asked me, I said, would you like me to do another video? And I got an overwhelming yes. So I put together a few more products to swap out for healthier options. I still do want to do a personal care one. I'm still working on that. That one's a little bit more of a gray area. But I came up with, I just kind of looked around my house, looked in my fridge, looked in my pantry to see, like, what did we used to eat versus what we eat now? Now, I am going to preface this by saying I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I am not. I'm just a girl trying to feed my family what I feel is healthier food. You may not agree with that. You may be fine with certain ingredients that we are not fine with, and that's okay. I've told you 100 times, everyone is different. Everyone has their own opinions. Everyone does their own research. I just know what I am comfortable with buying and feeding to my family. So that disclaimer being said, let's get into this video. And the first thing we're going to talk about is yogurt. Yes. A very popular brand of yogurt is the Dannon Fit and Active or Dannon Light and Fit. And even some other yogurts like the Chobani Zero, I think it's called. So not a great product, my friends. We'll specifically stick to the Dannon ones because they're the ones that I wrote down. They have artificial flavors, modified food starch, and sucralose. Sucralose is artificial sweetener. We're all used to hearing monk fruit and stevia and aspartame, but sucralose is also an artificial sweetener. It's the same one they use in diet soda products. So if you're trying to avoid those things, definitely avoid that yogurt. What can you swap it with? You're not going to like this. I know you're not. But plain Greek yogurt, either whole milk or 1% or even fat-free, much better choice. And what you can do to make it more delicious, I'm going to admit, I don't like plain Greek yogurt. I don't. But for me to make it more delicious, I will add things to it. I will add fresh fruit to it. With a little drizzle of honey, it gives it that sweetness, it gives it that fruit flavor. Or if you like that blended yogurt, blend up that fruit with a little bit of honey in there. Use jam, blend up some jam right in there. I do that a lot. Throw a tablespoon of jam in there, blend it up, and it's delicious. If I make blueberry syrup or raspberry syrup for breakfast and we have leftover, we add that to our yogurt. You don't have to eat plain Greek yogurt to be healthy. You certainly can add to it honey, fruit, granola, anything like that. But plain Greek yogurt has nothing but cultured milk. It is milk with active yogurt cultures. And those active yogurt cultures, that good bacteria is what's really, really good for your gut. When you take like these like Dannon Light and Fits and the Chobani Zeros that have the sucralose and all the sugar and stuff, you're taking away that good gut health because the sugar negates it. That's why I try to use a natural sugar like honey in just a little drizzle in our yogurt. So that is a big one. And especially if you have kids or grandkids, stop with the Go-Gurt tubes. And the Danimals and things like that, because they are nothing but artificial flavors, artificial colors, artificial dyes. So get them used to early on eating the plain yogurt with the nice add-ins. Second product I want to talk about is protein. I know, especially in the Weight Watchers community, I know you're going to come at me, and that's fine. My opinions, what I would do for my family. I judge no one. Everyone has to do what they are comfortable with. Everyone has to do what they are comfortable with. And what you're comfortable with may not be what Susie down the street is comfortable with, and it may not be what I'm comfortable with. We all have different levels. But I wanted to talk protein because I know protein is it's center stage right now. Protein, protein, protein. And I know everybody loves those Premier protein drinks. Have you ever turned it over and looked at the ingredients? The list is a mile long. Glucose, sucralose, artificial colors, artificial flavors, gums, gels, all kind of stuff that is not anywhere near natural. It is all lab created. It is all man-made. The list is a mile long, and that was just for the vanilla. I didn't even get into like the caramel and the banana and all those things, so I can't even imagine what they use to flavor those. Just not a great, yes, I know, 30 grams of protein, but look what else you're eating. And before you say, well, everything in moderation, we're going to get to that in a little bit. We're going to get to that. So what can you do for protein? Look for a good, clean, powdered protein. You are not going to find anything that comes in a ready-made bottle that's good and clean. I don't think you are anyway. I don't do those kind of protein drinks, so I'm not quite the expert on it. I'm not an expert on anything, I admit that. But the protein powder, like there's one that's called Just Ingredients. The brand, very, very, very super clean. It is whole food ingredients. Very, very clean. There's a couple other brands too. Adam, of course, I forget what brand it is. Adam buys a brand that is very, very clean. That's powdered protein. Also, Flav City has one that is very clean. So those clean proteins are out there. You just have to look, and you might not be able to get it in a ready-made bottle. I don't know. You may be able to. Let me know. Let me know in the comments if there's a clean product that's ready-made. So that's the second one. The third one is, and these are kind of all over the place. They're like, I told you I opened my fridge and my pantry. The next one is syrup, pancake syrup. The Mrs. Butterworth's and they don't call it Aunt Jemima anymore. It's Pearl Milling Company. Those brands, if you notice, they don't say maple syrup on them. They just say syrup or table syrup. And do you know why they don't call it maple syrup? Because there is not one iota of maple in it. The ingredients in a Mrs. Butterworth's or a Pearl Milling Company: corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, water, and gums. That is what is in it. So basically, it's sugar water, but the sugar's not even sugar. It's corn syrup with some caramel color thrown in. That is what it is. So what do you replace it with? You replace it with pure maple syrup. Is it more expensive? It 100% is, because if you ever watch a video on how to make maple syrup, you will see that 100 gallons of sap does not make 100 gallons of syrup, my friends. But I am here to tell you it is worth every penny, and you need a whole lot less of that pure maple syrup. Whereas you might use a 1/4 cup of syrup on some pancakes, if you're using like the Mrs. Butterworth's or whatever, you could probably use a tablespoon of pure maple syrup because it's pure maple syrup. The flavor is phenomenal. It is delicious. And since I'm talking about ingredients, if you get a jug of pure maple syrup, we buy the Costco brand organic maple syrup, and you turn it over and you look at the ingredients. One ingredient, pure maple syrup. They tap the tree, they get the sap, They boil it down. There is nothing added to it. There's nothing taken out of it. It is just pure maple syrup. So that's a huge one. And when we made that switch, it was like a light bulb went on, because I'm going to tell, I mean, we used to use Mrs. Butterworth's or whatever, Aldi brand table syrup. I used to use sugar-free. What's in sugar-free syrup? Sucralose and all of the artificial sweeteners, just like the yogurt that we talked about and the protein we talked about. So yeah, that was a huge one for us. And oh my gosh, the taste, phenomenal, phenomenal. So definitely think about that when you're eating your pancakes or your French toast. The next food is a huge favorite in our house, and we could not survive without it, and that is ketchup. I'm so sorry, I'm so itchy. We love ketchup in our house. We love ketchup, and we used to be very loyal to Heinz ketchup. Heinz was it, Heinz was it. And then as we started, you know, looking at our food and trying to decide where we were going to make some clean swaps, ketchup was a big one, because good old Heinz ketchup has corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup. It does. It has both. Now, most ketchup has sugar, unless you are buying a sugar-free ketchup, and then you're going to have artificial sweetener in it. You're going to have your sucralose and your things like that in there. But if you are a Heinz loyalist, no need to worry, because Heinz makes one that is Heinz Simply or something like that it's called. Instead of having high fructose corn syrup, it has cane sugar. Yep, it has it's all ketchup has sugar. Even sugar-free ketchup, like I said, it has sugar. It's just artificial sugar, artificial sweetener. So if you are trying to avoid artificial sweeteners, like if you don't use stevia or monk fruit or whatever in your coffee and tea, but you're eating sugar-free ketchup or the Dannon Light and Fit yogurt or the Chobani Zero, you're still consuming artificial sweetener. You just don't realize it, maybe. But the Heinz Simply has cane sugar, so that is a much better choice. Now, the best choice, I think, is, of course, organic ketchup, because the crops haven't been sprayed with glyphosate or anything like that. And now, are organic crops sprayed? Yes, they are. They are sprayed, but they are sprayed with a safe and effective weed killer, bug killer, whatever. They're not using the glyphosate, the Roundup that is so bad for us. But organic crops are still sprayed, just with something natural. And they are highly regulated. It is very hard to get a certified organic label, a certified organic stance. It is not easy to get. So they're definitely well regulated. But we love, our favorite ketchup is the Aldi brand organic. It is so good, and it reminds me of Heinz. It truly does. So just check your ketchup, and if corn syrup is something that you worry about, because corn is a GMO crop and it is a highly sprayed crop. So if it is something you worry about, then definitely look into your ketchup. Next are crackers. I like to make sourdough crackers, but I'm not going to lie, I also like convenience. And I don't always have the time to make sourdough crackers. So we found a brand that we absolutely love. The taste is phenomenal. It is Simple Mills almond and sea salt crackers. Absolutely delicious. Decent ingredients. Don't love the sunflower oil, but I will take that over a lot of other oils. If you compare those to a cracker, one of the most popular crackers in America is Ritz crackers. High fructose corn syrup, soy, gums, and thickeners, canola oil. Yep, high fructose corn syrup in Ritz crackers. So definitely look at your crackers. Look and see if there's seed oils. Look and see if there's high fructose corn syrup, because who would have thought that high fructose corn syrup would be in crackers? But let me tell you, friends, it is in everything. It is in everything. So definitely check that out. You know, it only takes a minute to read a label, and there's so many apps now that you can scan. My favorite app is the Bobby Approved app. It is a free app. It's called Bobby Approved. It's a little thumbs up. I know everybody loves the Yuka app, the Y-U-K-A, Yuka, however you say it. I'm not sold on that one, to be honest with you, because I don't like that that app kind of disses some healthy foods because they might be a little higher in fat or higher in calories. Like, I think they said that Quaker granola bars were okay. They're full of junk. They are full of junk. Number one, they're oats that are not organic, so they have been sprayed with glyphosate. Number two, they've got high fructose corn syrup in and a whole bunch of other stuff. But they give them, the Yuka app gives those the okay, but they give Lara bars a thumbs down or a bad rating because they're higher in calories, because they are all natural. They're not using high fructose corn syrup. They're using dates and things like that to sweeten. So I'm a big fan of the Bobby Approved app, and I love that it tells you why it's not approved on there. And I believe the Yuka app does also, but everything I see with the Yuka just seems to be, well, high fat, high calorie, high fat, high calorie. So you have to use what you're comfortable with. And like I said, some people are very comfortable with seed oils, and that's okay. You've got to do with what you're comfortable with. But anyway, check those apps out. There's another one called Trash Panda. There's one called EWG, Environmental Working Group. That's a lot. Like, I use that for like a lot of household products. There was one other one too. Think Dirty is another one. So I'll try to list them down below if I remember. But I have one more thing for you, and it is a favorite of everyone almost in America, and that is M&Ms, or candy in general. M&Ms and Skittles are some of the worst candy out there. Mostly, Skittles is number one worst, but M&Ms is not far behind because the dye. Number one has corn syrup, as does Skittles, but the dye in it. It has red dye 40, it has yellow dye, it has blue dye. It is filled with artificial dyes, and we all know that studies have shown that that can cause big problems. It can cause behavioral problems in children and everything else. But who doesn't bribe kids with M&Ms when they're going to the potty? Hello, I have a daycare. Of course I would bribe kids. You pee in the potty, you get one M&M. You poop in the potty, you get 2 M&Ms. I mean, I've been doing that for years. I have been. But now we don't use M&Ms. We use a brand called Unreal. And I think they call them chocolate gems. They look like M&Ms. They taste like M&Ms. But the difference is there is sugar, of course. There is cane sugar. I'm not sure if it's organic or not. But there's no corn syrup, and there are no artificial dyes. They use turmeric, they use beet juice, they use spirulina, they use all natural things. So are you getting those bright, vibrant colors? No, you're not. It's very muted, but it's still colors. And you know, kids don't know the difference. They know they're getting little candies. And don't come at me for bribing the kids. Sometimes you need to bribe them because it's what works. It's what works. We also do stickers. We do stickers more than we do candy because, yeah, we do stickers. But anyway, so they're the ones I have for you today. And I did say something a little while ago that I said I would circle back to about everything in moderation. So let's just say, you know what? I'm gonna stick to these things because it's everything in moderation, right? I'm gonna stick to the products that I like. That's fine, but what if you for breakfast have a Dannon Light and Fit yogurt? you're consuming your sucralose, you're consuming your artificial dyes, you're consuming your natural and artificial flavorings for breakfast. Then lunchtime comes around and you have some chicken nuggets dipped in ketchup, and you're using the Heinz ketchup. So now you're consuming more high fructose corn syrup. You're consuming more things that aren't great for you, but everything in moderation. But now it's starting to build. So then, you have a little snack in the afternoon. You have some cheese and crackers. Well, you're having those Ritz crackers. Well, now you are consuming more high fructose corn syrup, more gums, more seed oils. Do you see where I'm going with this? So we may say everything in moderation, but you have to watch the total, not just one or two things. If you're having one of those yogurts a week or one of those yogurts every 2 weeks, so be it. If you're eating Ritz crackers when you go to a party, so be it. But if you're compounding all these foods on top of each other, then that whole everything in moderation kind of goes out the window, because while all those would be fine separately, maybe, if you're okay with that, you combine them all together and it's like a big high fructose corn syrup bomb. And like the more you start looking, the more you might realize that. Especially cereals. I did not even deep dive into that because we all know Kellogg's has been in the news. We all know that other countries are treated much differently than our country is treated when it comes to foods, especially dyes and things like that. So check those labels. Figure out what you are comfortable with. Figure out where your line in the sand is, and then go from there. Read labels. And if you look at something and go, well, this has this in it, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Then that's great. As long as you are okay with it for you and your family, then that's all that matters, is everyone's comfort level. I'm not here to lecture you and tell you not to do this and not to do that. I am here just to give you information and let you decide what's best for you, because that's what it's all about. It's everybody has opinions. We know that. The old saying, opinions are like, everybody has one. So this is nothing but my opinion, and you need to make your own informed decisions. You can Google something and get 20 different opinions on it. You just have to decide which one makes the most sense to you. And let me tell you, you'll go down a rabbit hole. I certainly have on several things, but just know that there's better products out there. There's better products out there. And just do a little bit of research, read some labels, and you never know, you might find a new favorite. So friends, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend it with me. I am not sure if you could hear these noisy chickies in the background, but if so, I do apologize, but hey, you might like it. They're stinking cute and they're getting so big. I will have to try to remember this weekend in my weekend vlog to show you how big they are getting. So anyway, that is that. Read labels, do a little research, make informed decisions, and most importantly, be comfortable with your decision. I will catch you guys in my next video.